Hello everybody, this is Toys R Us, and for this special video showcase and review we're going to be looking at the 1991 Generation 1 Action Master Trax figure. So what we're going to do with this video, we're going to have a detailed look at him in both of his modes to help you decide how you want to display him. I'm going to show you all the accessories that come with him to help you know if yours is complete. I'm going to show you his Action Master backpack gimmick and how that works. We could then of course see how he looks and compares to the original version of himself. And indeed some other versions, but also right up to the latest one. I'll also show you how he sizes up and compares to some of the other normal Action Masters, and indeed to some of the Action Master Elites as well. So I'm going to try and make this as interesting as possible. So as I pop all these away, I'd like to remind anybody who's not subscribed to this channel, if they'd like to hit that subscribe button for me now please, because again it really will help me out. So there might be a reason why you've not seen or heard much of this, and again with it being in 1991, he just fit into the tail end of Generation 1 figures. Now he was a European exclusive, along with 2 other Autobots and 3 other Decepticons. I've just got the Autobots here, but the Decepticons are in a separate video. So we've got Power Flash and Sideswipe. So these 3 were released individually in Europe at that particular time, as Hasbro continued to try and keep the brand alive by churning out toys. Now to me as a child, when these came out, these were a gigantic backward step for me, and I didn't buy any of them, not these at all. I couldn't understand in my brain how you could go from something like this, which could also be a flying car, which could obviously also be just a normal car, and end up with something like that. Now I think I've found the reason behind this out as I've got older, and what I believe it to be, and please do correct me if I'm wrong, is that obviously Hasbro owns G.I. Joe's, it's known in the US, but Action Forces it was in the UK. And at the particular time in 1991, Hasbro toy sales with Transformers were falling quite badly, whereas G.I. Joe on the other hand were indeed huge. They were completely outselling them. And let's be honest, if this wasn't a robot, if this was just like a man or an action man, that's exactly what it would be. This would be a G.I. Joe figure with the base or the weapons which transformed, which is of course exactly what Action Force figures did do. So what Hasbro tried to do was to cotton onto some of that market. They got some of the favorite characters, even, you know, like some of the original figures like Jazz and Grimlock, and exactly that, they made him into more cartoon accurate Action Master figures with a bit more articulation, and they made the bases, or indeed the weapons and accessories that came with them, to transform, to give them that bit more playability. So as you can see, you can sort of make out that it's Trax. You've got the flames out on the front, there's a bit, is there? No, there is no articulation in his head. I don't think so. I don't want to ruin it. There's a big screw on the back, but this is intentionally supposed to be there. With the normal Action Masters, there's just the screw on the back, but with this here, you've got the ring around it, and that is so you can use and perform his Action Master backpack gimmick, which I'm going to show you in a second. Articulation at the time wasn't too bad. You've got full articulation in the shoulders, the legs will go up and down, and there's even a knee bend. Which, as I say, for its time was pretty good, believe it or not. He also came with just a standard gun, which funnily enough again didn't resemble his normal gun at all in any way. I mean, I say his normal one, I mean his G1 gun. Right, now this is his backpack, and I actually believe that this has got a name as well. It's got a little gimmick with it, and funnily enough it does actually come apart. The gun is called, it's called Basher actually. He's called Basher, and if you're after getting one for yourself, make sure it's complete, because funnily enough these are quite often missing, and that's because, as you can see, they do come off relatively easy. Now I don't believe, I've just switched sides, you can see that they are it doesn't, I can't see if it says left or right on it. I've got to be honest, I don't really know. You can see that they fit on either side, so I presume that they're universal. However, I've noticed that there's more space there than there is on the inside there, so yes, they are different. So you're going to need to have a keen eye if you're buying these individually, shall we say. Now this is the slider, which fits, again, this part fits in his back, and you can have it up or down, but the main gimmick is this here. This flips over and it becomes exactly that, this powered up backpack. And crazily enough, the last time I had a quick go with this, not only did it still work, fortunately enough, but it didn't unbalance him. So this is what I mean. You pop this in there, And I think it'll unbalance him if it's down there and not in action. Whereas if I press this button now, let's see if I can get it to work for you. I need to make sure that you can see what I'm doing with it being on screen. So there we go. So this would come up, I've twisted it, and it would come over his head like that. And funnily enough, even with this giant backpack, just jinxed it. No, it does. It still balances. So I think what it is if you've not got the gimmick working, carefully down, you'd slide this up on his back. No, it still doesn't make a difference, but you can slide this up and down with the stopper there to get the gimmick to work properly. You press this down, there you go. That was a really good example of that, to be fair. And of course, with the gun, you can then pop this in his hands as well, and there we go. So that is what you could do with him. As I say, completely basic compared to obviously his previous versions. This is probably, well, this and Sideswipe obviously, and Bombshell, of course, with the Decepticons, have got to be in the history books for the toys in the middle of their generation's livelihood, where the ones where they started out with them were way better, and of course the ones that they finished with were way better. I'm just very quickly going to bring in his original again to give you an idea, as I say, if in my opinion, I'm sure loads of people will agree, of what a big step backwards this was. However, I understand why they did it and the meaning behind it, but obviously it doesn't transform, and that it's still a sticking point for myself now, to be honest. That's why I don't buy Red and Super 7 figures. Right, let's just move Basher out of the way for a second. So we've got original, we've got Action Master, we've then got, this is just the Reveal the Shield one, not the United one, which is obviously a lot later. I haven't got the Binaltech on show. I've done a video on that one separately, to be honest. I don't really want to put Masterpiece and Binaltech because they're obviously in completely different price ranges. And there we've got, as of the making of this video, the latest version of Trax, which is from the Kingdom toy line. So you can see there's a huge difference between these. Right, let's just move these out of the way. A couple of little things to do. Again, I'll bring in the original Action Masters. So these are the ones that you'd have seen, and they're in the normal Hasbro collection book. That is obviously Jazz and Grimlock. But the other thing that made these fun was that they were very universally compatible with each other. So for example, because all of the same size, what's that? That's it. They had the same size holes in the hands for all the same weapons. That's what I'm trying to say. So you could, if you wanted to, you could mix and match, or you could double up with all of the weapons. And due to the holes that are on their feet, on all of them, they were completely compatible with, you know, Jazz has got a skateboard, etc. He could stand on Optimus Prime's trailer. You could use them all for that. Obviously, you've just seen that you couldn't use these gimmicks on the standard Action Masters because they didn't have the hole in the back, whereas these did. So you could, if you wanted to. I'm saying that. Let's have a look. Yeah, you could pop Basher just about on the back of Sideswipe and it would work. So the last couple of things just to show you the differences, I suppose. Even with the European exclusive Action Masters that came out, these were all the same size. The ones that were slightly different, again, were exclusives, and these were the Action Master Elites. And these ones, funnily enough, did transform, but as you can see, they're quite a bit bigger. I've just put the Autobot ones there. Again, the Decepticon ones are in their own video. There we go. I think that's more than enough discussion about Action Master Trax. I still really like him. I think he looks good. And yeah, I know, again, these particular figures, they always split the fandom in half due to exactly that particular reason. But as I say, especially now in this day and age in the collecting, there's so many non-transforming Transformers out there. So these, funnily enough, were well before their time, if you want to say that, with regards to these. Anyway, there he is, 1991 Generation 1 Action Master Trax. Let me know what you think of him in the comments, guys. Take care.